O Tannenbaum, wie treu sind deine Blätter. O Christmas tree, your branches ever faithful. Du glückst die Blumen für Sommerzeit, dein Laub im Winter der Weine schneit. O Tannenbaum, wie treu sind deine Blätter. So verdant green, summer's light, yet evergreen, winter's white. Oh, Christmas tree, your branches true and faithful. O Tannenbaum, du kannst mir sehr gefallen. O Christmas tree, you bring us joy and pleasure. Wie oft hat mir zu Weg Zeit, ein Mann von dir mich auch gefreut. O Tannenbaum, du kannst mir sehr gefallen. Each Christmas is adorned with light, you lift our spirits with delight. O Christmas tree, you bring us joy and pleasure. O Tannenbaum, dein Kleid soll nicht verslecken. O Christmas tree, your beauty does remind us. Die Hoffnung und Beständigkeit gibt Trost und Kraft zu aller Zeit. O Tannenbaum, dein Kleid soll nicht verslecken. That hope that gives me now abide throughout the world this Christmas tide. O Christmas tree, your beauty does remind us.
Hello, and welcome to the Bleeding Pigs Christmas Miscellany of 2020. To say this has been a most unusual year is an understatement. It's been a year of stress and loneliness for some. A year where we missed seeing our loved ones. But fear not, for we are here to bring you an evening of relaxed enjoyment. And now for a bit of housekeeping. Mobile phone switched off? And are we sitting comfortably with a tipple of our choice? Then let the merriment begin, and let this miscellany lead you into a much brighter 2021.
They told me, pa-rum-pum-pum, a newborn king to see, pa-rum-pum-pum. Our finest gifts we bring, pa-rum-pum-pum, to lay before our king, pa-rum-pum-pum, rum-pum-pum, rum-pum-pum. when we come. Little baby, pa-ram-pum-pum, I am a poor boy too, pa-ram-pum-pum. I have no gifts to bring, pa-ram-pum-pum, that's fit to give our king, pa-ram-pum-pum, ram-pum-pum, ram-pum-pum. Shall I play for you, pa-ram-pum-pum, on my drum? Very nodded, pa-ram-pum-pum, Eox and lamb kept time, pa-ram-pum-pum. I played my drum for him, pa-ram-pum-pum. I played my best for him, pa-ram-pum-pum, ram-pum-pum, ram-pum-pum. Then he smiled at me, pa-ram-pum-pum, me and my drum.
The Old Shepherd. You'd ask what the high point of my life. I've seen lots of things over many years, but 20 or more years ago was by far the most wonderful. We were with a large penned flock not so far from Bethlehem. It must have been midnight as I sat close by the fire. Most of the other shepherds were sleeping, but the brightening of the night sky and the angel voices woke them sure enough. The angel said, "Don't be afraid." Easily said, hard to do. After the angels singing and the dying of the light in the sky, we cut straws, and I got the short one. So off they went, leaving me watching the sheep. Time passed slowly at first. Now I have a knack with wood, and to pass the time I whittled an olive tree branch I'd found. This kept me so busy that when the shepherds returned, they quite took me by surprise. They were quite excited, saying how they'd found the baby in the barn and prayed with Mary and Joseph. I asked how a mighty king could be born in a barn. The elder of the shepherds said I should go in the morning and I could see for myself. I slept for a few hours beside the fire and got up with the dawn. It didn't take so long for me to be at the barn. There were the parents sitting on the ground and the baby in a manger. Now in all my life I've never been among kings and queens, and much less their babies. But when I saw this baby, he was, I don't know, royal or maybe rather blessed. I left him my whittled angel, and I've often wondered what became of that baby.
Season's greetings from the members of the Blanchardstown Brass Band. Unfortunately, due to COVID-19 restrictions, it is unlikely that we'll be able to perform in public this Christmas. Playing Christmas carols has always been an enjoyable time for the band, and we will miss our performances at the many Christmas fairs and Christmas events that we attend each year in Dublin 15 and throughout Fingal. 2020 has been a challenging year for the band, as all our performances and rehearsals have been cancelled. However, we look forward to 2021 and hope that we will soon be allowed to rehearse and perform again in public. The members of the band wish you all a very happy Christmas And while we may not be able to play for you in person, we would like to send you this online performance of Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer from our Christmas CD. Happy Christmas and stay safe. Nullig Shunadid.
Moss Bigger and Rudy Antler were best friends. Rudy, short for Rudolph, named after his grandfather Rudolph the Axe Antler, was long-legged and carrot-topped. In other words, he was red-headed. He ran and jumped and ran on really long legs. So Moss had a time staying with him because he was slightly shorter by at least a foot in height. However, Moss had a younger brother named Bigger, and Bigger didn't like to be called Bigger, so he'd like to be called Bigley. And Rudy, Bigley and Moss were a force to be reckoned with. Well, the three boys, now aged about 16, took their own boat and went raiding the other villages, looking for anything to take with them on the return leg. They spotted some goats near the water's edge and caught one by dangling a carrot in front of it. And that was the day Rudy was elevated to Rudy the Red. After that, everything became a competition between the guys because they were no longer boys. Fortunately, Rudy was an all-round sportsman and easily won any race. So the bigger brothers were as determined to outclass him as much as he outclassed them. But alas for Rudy, as he was running and winning bigly in a race, he fell and broke his arm. But the local healer woman helped him. Otherwise, Rudy was fine and dandy, except when it rained. He seemed to have an itch that he couldn't scratch and started to predict the rain a few hours or even a full day ahead of very heavy rain. So betting on the races started amongst the older, more bored men who had nothing to do. Bigley was a sure thing. It was decided that Rudy could place a bet only after everyone else had placed theirs, therefore giving the bookies a 50-50 chance of winning some sort of money. And it was soon after that the Roman coins started to appear in Ireland. They were round in shape and it was said they were made round to go round. Rudy met Rachel on a raid and carried her away in his boat. He took her as his mate and she decided to stay for a while. It was around this time that men would start to use endearing terms with their mates such as babe, dear, dearie, princess and other such codswallop. He went to the bookies to place his bet. He bet on Bigley. And when he got back he said to Rachel, I bet on Bigley to win the race tomorrow. But why did you do that, Rodolph? She always used his full name, never Rudy. Because Bigley always wins when it rains, dear. How do you know it will rain? The sun is shining and it is very warm for midsummer. So Rudy puffed out his chest and he looked down his long Viking nose at Rachel and said, because Rudolph the red-nosed reindeer. She left her at that.
It's Christmas Eve, babe, in the drunk tank, and no man said to me, won't see another one. And then he sang a song, the rare old Mountain Dew. I turned my face away and dreamed about you. And a lucky one came in 18 to 1. I've got a feeling this year's for me and you. So happy Christmas, I love you, baby. I can see a better time when all our dreams come true. They've got cars big as bars, they got rivers and gold. When the wind blows right through you, it's no place for the old. When you first took my hand on the cold Christmas Eve, you promised me Broadway was waiting for me. You were handsome, you were pretty, queen of New York City. When the band finished playing, they howled out for more. Sinatra was singing, all the drugs they were singing. We kissed on the corner, then danced through the night. And the boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day. I could have been someone, well, so could anyone. You took my dreams from me when I first found you. I kept them with me, babe. I put them with my own. Can't make it all alone. I build my dreams around you. And the boys of the NYPD choir were singing Galway Bay. And the bells were ringing out for Christmas Day.
That was a wonderful Christmas. That year when I was just 9. Mind you, it started out with a catastrophe that almost spoiled everything. That was one of the better years for small farmers. That December, my father had 2 remaining yearling calves to sell at the Cap of White Christmas Fair. On the fair day, it was nightfall before we heard Dad's car driving into the yard. We all rushed out, dizzy with anticipation and excitement, to greet him. Purcells were buying everything on four legs for their Waterford boat, so prices were good, he told Ma. So good that I bought the Christmas while I was at it, he told her. The mother groaned. All right, gang, let's empty the car, he instructed. There were several stuffed bags with all sorts of dainties. I grabbed the final brown bag that I now know contained a bottle of Jameson whiskey, a bottle of Harvey's Bristol cream, and a bottle of Blue Nun wine. I rushed with the bag into the house. As I reached the scullery entrance, I collided with our dog Whisper, sprawled strategically just inside the door. I was propelled through the air at speed, all the time clinging to the precious cargo. The bag hit the slate floor with a heavy thump, and I ensured maximum damage by landing on top of it. The contents of the bag shattered, and I found myself in the middle of the soggy mess. A fusion of strange coloured liquids seeped along the floor, making their way to the drain. No blood and nothing broken with myself, as far as I could tell. My dad was the first to arrive. "Jesus, what have you done?" he bellowed. "I told you to be careful and not to be rushing everywhere," my mother scolded. I fled the scene, wailing like a banshee, competing with the dog still howling from his injuries. I got into my bed and hid under the blankets. I fell into a troubled sleep. Sometime later, I awoke and felt my mother gently shaking me. "It'll be fine, Tommy. We'll get over it. Come on down and have your tea with the rest of us." As I timidly took my place at the kitchen table, the sight of my plate filled with rashers, sausages, and eggs reassured me that no lasting damnation was likely. On Christmas morning, I raced downstairs the minute I woke, and there was the complete Barry's train set laid out on the kitchen floor. I had not dared hope. "Well, that beats Banagher. Isn't Santa Claus the great fella all the same? He must not have heard about your bottle juggling, Tommy," Dad said mockingly. Christmas dinner was a pure feast, and the adults washed it down with the Blue Nun, which miraculously had survived the scullery carnage. Every Christmas since, some family member trots out the Christmas bill, to almost everyone's great amusement. For me, I still hear the shattering of the glass and see the muddy puddle on the scullery floor. Others enjoy its telling more than I do.
Good people, all this Christmas time, consider well and bear in mind what our good God for us has done in sending his beloved Son. With Mary holy we should pray to God with love this Christmas day. In Bethlehem upon that morn there was a blessed Messiah born. The night before that happy tide, the noble Virgin and her guide were long time seeking up and down to find a lodging in the town. But mark right well what came to pass, from every door repelled alas, as was foretold their refuge all was but a humble ox's stall. Near Bethlehem did shepherds keep their flocks of lambs and feeding sheep, to whom God's angel did appear, which put the shepherds in great fear. Arise and go, the angel said, to Bethlehem, be not afraid. For there you'll find this happy morn, a princely babe, sweet Jesus born. With thankful heart and joyful mind, the shepherds went the babe to find. And as God's angel had foretold, they did our Saviour Christ behold. Within a manger he was laid, and by his side the Virgin Maid, attending on the Lord of life, who came on earth to end all strife. There were 3 wise men from afar, directed by a glorious star, and on they wandered night and day, until they came where Jesus lay. And when they came unto that place, where our beloved Messiah lay, they humbly cast them at his feet, with gifts of gold and incense sweet.
Hello, my name is Gillian Weston, and I'm going to be reading A Christmas Story by John B. Keane. Many years ago, in our street, there lived an old woman who had but one son. His name was Jack. Jack's father had died when his son was no more than a gurson, so Jack's mother had to go to work to support her son and herself. As Jack grew older, she still went out to work for the simple reason that Jack did not like work. The people in the street used to say that Jack was good for 3 things. He was good for eating, he was good for smoking, and he was good for drinking. He was also good for leaving. When his mother was too old to work, Jack left for England. Years passed, but the old woman never had a line from her only son. Every Christmas she would stand inside her window waiting for a card or a letter. She waited in vain. Now it happened that in our street there was a postman who knew a lot more about his residents than they knew about themselves. When Christmas came, he was weighted with bags of letters and parcels. People waited his arrival the way children awaited a bishop on confirmation day. He was not averse to indulging in a drop of the comforts wherever such comforts were tendered, but comforts or no comforts, the man was always sensitive to the needs of others. In his heart resided the spirit of Christmas. Whenever he came to the house where the old woman lived, he would crawl on all 4s past the window. He just didn't have the heart to go by and be seen by her. He hated to disappoint people, particularly old people. For the whole week before Christmas, she would take up her position behind the curtains, waiting for the letter which never came. Finally, the postman could bear it no longer. On Christmas Eve, he delivered to our house a mixed bunch of cards and letters. Some were from England. He requested one of these envelopes when its contents were removed. He rewrote the name and address and also wrote a short note which he signed, "Your loving son, Jack." Then, from his pocket, he extracted a 10-shilling note, a considerable sum in those far-off days. He placed the note in the envelope. There was no fear the old woman would notice the handwriting, because if Jack was good at some things, he was not good at other things at all, and one of those was writing. In fact, Jack could not write his own name. When the postman came to the old woman's door, he knocked loudly. When she appeared, he put his best official voice and said, "Sign for this, if you please, missus." The old woman signed and opened the envelope. The tears appeared in her eyes, and she cried out loud, "I declare to God, but Jack is a scholar." "True for you," said the postman, "and I dare say he couldn't get in touch with you until he learned to write." I always knew there was good in him, she said. I always knew it. There's good in everyone, missus, said the postman, as he moved on to the next house. The street was not slow in getting the message, and in the next and last post there were many parcels for the old woman. It was probably the best Christmas the street had ever had.
O you, Eve, were the world that tempted me to eat the knowledge that grew in clay, and death the germ within it. Now and then I can remember something of the gay garden that was childhood's again. The tracks of cattle to a drinking place, a green stone lying sideways in a ditch, or any common sight, the transfigured face of a beauty that the world did not touch. My father played the melodeon outside at our gate. There were stars in the morning east, and they danced to his music. Across the wild bogs his melodeon called to Lennons and Callums. As I pulled on my trousers in a hurry, I knew some strange thing had happened. Outside in the cowhouse, my mother made the music of milking. The light of her stable lamp was a star, and the frost of Bethlehem made it twinkle. A water hen screeched in the bog. Mass-going feet crunched the wafer ice on the potholes. Somebody wistfully twisted the bellows wheel. My child poet picked out the letters on the grey stone. In silver, the wonder of a Christmas townland, the winking glitter of a frosty dawn. Cassiopeia was over Cassidy's hanging hill. I looked, and 3 whin bushes rode across the horizon, the 3 wise kings. An old man passing said, "Can't he make a talk? The melodeon." I hid in the doorway and tightened the belt of my box-pleated coat. I nicked 6 nicks on the doorpost with my penknife's big blade. There was a little one for cutting tobacco, and I was 6 Christmases of age. My father played the melodeon. My mother milked the cows, and I had a prayer like a white rose pinned on the Virgin Mary's blouse.
In Search of the Last Turkey in Ireland by Sebastian Barry. Here we are in the 1960s, old Victorian terrace house facing the storming sea, the crackle of December greys and changing browns and touches of pitch moving across the water. The seaside hotel across the road stands, all its feet in darkest shadows, a startling ghost in every room. Even my grandfather, who's a painter, couldn't capture this violently altering scene. I'm about 11, standing at an upstairs window. There's snow all along the top of the granite wall that fringes our terrace, very, very white and burning, but for all that like the crust of an endless loaf. The glass gives me back a version of my face, the eyes floating in a ruined whiteness. I can see trouble below. My father is just arriving back from town, but he's stopping the white Volkswagen in the middle of the road, not pulling into the curb. He gets out and falls towards the pavement, a splash of sudden green ink on the snow in his green coat. Then raises, more or less to his knees, and starts the tricky climb up the stone steps, vanishing from sight under the canopy of the front door. When I go out onto the landing, he's come surprisingly quickly in from the hall and has already begun the ascent towards me. Eventually he passes in a compressed storm of huffing and bluster. I have shrunk back into the blankness of the bathroom. The tap is dripping. Then he is gone and I take the easy route down, sliding sideways on the banister rail. Whoosh, whap, as I hit the first floor landing. My mother is also a storm of sorts, banging about in the kitchen. She's looking to see what she has. My father was commissioned to bring home the turkey, the pudding, the ham, the spuds, the chestnut, and all the other devious whatsits of Christmas. My big sister is sitting on a stool, looking like something has hit her in the face, but only shadows have. My father never hits us. My mother looks at me with her nice face all worked over by panic. It's about 5 o'clock on a dark Christmas Eve. Even the storm at sea has turned up its volume, or maybe the front door is still open and the storm is creeping in to see how we live. All right, she says, get your coat. We'll run up to Dunleary. On with our coats and out into the painterly storm. She gives a vague glance at the white car being covered with a further coat of white. The coat of the sky is a savage procession of dark, evil cloud and streaking yellow and blue. Nothing will stand still. The long curving road goes blackly up towards Dunleary. The snow wants to cover your face with a million sharp, cold kisses. Goodbye. Hello. We reach the dark precincts of York Road. The river of this road rises in the corporation houses, and to serve them are a few decrepit Victorian shops. My mother is scanning them for light, and though she doesn't go to church and curses the priests for their sins, she is praying. Maybe pagan prayers, because she's from Sligo. We find a lighted shop. It's a cluttered little place, and in it she discovers the last plum pudding in Ireland. With directions from the startled man behind the counter, we go to a famished butcher's shop, and she nearly falls upon the breast of the last turkey in Ireland. The ham must be foregone. The lights are going off all over Dunleary, and we make our way back down the hill with our treasures. My mother is amazed, almost silent, almost all noise in her silence. We don't know if we're the luckiest family in Ireland or the unluckiest. What in the name of God would have happened to this turkey if we hadn't come in to buy it at the last minute? She says, not really asking me, but asking the bushes shrugging in the luxuriance of the storm wind, asking the sky with its pristine riot of yellow and blue, asking the driven specks of snow crash landing on the concrete pavement, but not sitting now, because the world is no longer cold enough for the snow to sit.
Corona has brought me on an evolutionary dance. I was cocooning like a caterpillar in the spring. I emerged like a butterfly in the summer. And now I'm hibernating like a squirrel in the winter, crunching the numbers. I'm wondering whether I'll be in a bubble, a hubble, or a pod. Imelda, my daughter, said, "Ma'am, you'd be lucky if you're let in anywhere after last year's toast." "That was only a joke," I said, Imelda. "Some joke? May we all make the most magnificent, healthy corpses." Thea was very upset. I said it was the vegan dinner. I hate healthy food. It doesn't do me any good. My stomach hasn't been the same since last year. Imelda said, "Don't start that again, ma'am. We're only speaking to each other since Corona." "Well, indeed, Imelda," I said. "I think it's the first time you've all been speaking to each other at the same time in a lifetime." And you know why I think that was? I think it's dawned on us since we were all locked up that you never know the minute nor the hour when it's our time is up. We should be like the wise virgins and keep our wicks trimmed, or even like the Scouts' motto, Beullah. Mel said, "Ma'am, I've no idea what you're talking about." And I said, "Well, we're on the subject, Imelda. I've been thinking, you see, since I've been locked up, all the people that have gone before me, and all the people I know, and all the people that won't be in my bubble. And you know what I decided? I'm going to light a candle for everybody." Imelda said, "Oh, Ma'am, I hope you're not going to set the house on fire." I said, "My aim, Imelda, is to set the world on fire. Just imagine if we could all spare a thought for each other and light a candle. It would light up this darkness, and I could look back at a beautiful, bright world when I'm sliding on my arse backwards up a rainbow."
On the first day of Christmas, my true love sent to me a partridge in a pear tree.
On the second day of Christmas, my true love said to me, 2 turtle doves
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the third day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 4th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 4 calling birds,
3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 5th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 5 golden rings,
4 singing birds,
3 French hens,
2 turtle doves,
and a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 6th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 6 geese a-laying,
5 golden rings,
4 birds birds are singing.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 7th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 7 swans are swimming.
Miscellany.
5 golden rings.
4 birds are singing.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 8th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 8 maids a milking.
7 swans are swimming.
6 Miscellany.
5 golden rings.
4 singing birds.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
The 9th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 9 ladies dancing.
8 maids a milking.
7 swans are swimming.
6 geese a laying.
5 golden rings.
4 calling birds.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 10th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 10 lords a leaping.
9 ladies dancing.
8 maids a milking.
7 swans are swimming.
6 geese a laying.
5 golden rings.
4 birds are singing.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
On the 11th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 11 pipers piping.
10 lords a leaping.
9 ladies dancing.
8 maids a milking.
7 swans are swimming.
6 geese a laying.
5 golden rings.
4 birds are singing.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
12th day of Christmas, my true love sent to me 12 drummers a drumming.
11 pipers piping.
10 lords a leaping.
9 ladies dancing.
8 maids a milking.
7 swans are swimming.
6 geese a laying.
5 golden rings.
4 birds are singing.
3 French hens.
2 turtle doves.
And a partridge in a pear tree.
Well, I hope you thoroughly enjoyed that. I know I certainly did. And it was lovely to see so many familiar faces and hear the songs and listen to the music and hear the stories. And now I'm going to take the time to thank a few people. I'd like to thank the Fingal Arts Department, to John Harford and the Blanchardstown Brass Band, to David Scott and the Tara Singing Circle, to Peg McManus and Leo Breslin, and Willie Maxwell and Ian Scott from the Chinkwell Writers, to Paul Keogh from the Donabate and Portrane Dramatic Society, to the Bevertones, to Aaron and Cahill McGahan, to Willie Cahill, to Gillian Weston and to Mairead Dempsey. But perhaps the biggest thank you of all goes to a very talented young man who collaborated this evening with videos, Zooms and wet transfers. and without him this miscellany would not have happened. So a very big thank you to you, Benza, from the Bleeding Pig Cultural Society. Now I'm going to leave you by wishing you all a very Merry Christmas, and I hope to see you at the Bleeding Pig Cultural Festival of 2021 in September. So I wish you all a very Merry Christmas, a very busy, prosperous and healthy New Year. Merry Christmas, everybody.